Hello everyone, we got a situation here. Along decided to send a secret message to Busu. Both agree to use the following coding method. The secret message will be written in metric 4x4 dimension. This is the secret message that Along had sent. Busu is now given 3 sets of matrices K1, K2 and K3. Haikal, Aina and Najwa decided to help Busu to decrypt the message. They have to decide which key have the message sent by Along. Let's start with K1.
Hey guys, so now let's see whether the matrix K1 is the correct matrix or not to decrypt the secret message sent by Along. For this matrix, we will be using adjoint method to find the inverse. Before we can find the inverse of this matrix, we need to obtain the determinant and the adjoint matrix. To find the determinant, we need to find the minor and cofactor of the matrix first. The minor of the element in row 1, column 1 can be found by deleting the row 1 and the column 1. Then we will compute the determinant of the resulting 3x3 matrix. After all the minors has been computed, we now can find the matrix of cofactors. To find the cofactor, we need to consider the sign patterns of the cofactor matrix that start with positive sign and then alternate between negative and positive sign throughout the entire matrix. Then we can find the determinant of matrix K1 by expanding along row 1 of the original matrix and the cofactor matrix, and we get the determinant is 84. Using the cofactor matrix we obtained just now, we will have the adjoint of the matrix by finding the transpose of the cofactor matrix. We will just change the place between the row and the column, like each element in row 1 will change the place and arrange in column 1 accordingly. Finally, we can find the inverse of matrix by using the formula 1 over determinant multiply with the adjoint matrix. Then we multiply the inverse matrix with the secret message and then the result is obtained. According to the result, this is not the correct matrix because the number obtained in the matrix after the message was decrypted cannot be translated.
It seems like K1 is not the answer. Let's move to K2.
The method I use to find the inverse of K2 matrix is elementary row operation. Firstly, I form an augmented matrix. Next, I use the elementary row operation to reduce the matrix until the identity matrix appear on the left of vertical line. The procedures I use for elementary row operation include interchange any two rows, multiply a row by a non-zero scalar, and lastly, replace a row by the sum of itself and a multiple of another row. At the end of the calculation, I figured out that the determinant of the K2 matrix is 0, since the third row consists of all zeros. Therefore, inverse matrix does not exist. Thus, the message couldn't be decrypted, which means that the message is not correct.
Oh no, K2 is not the answer either. Let's move on to K3.
Now, time to decrypt message. I will use K3 matrix. I need to find the inverse of the matrix to decrypt the message. I'm using ERO method. First, write augmented matrix. Make the pivot in the first column by dividing the first row by 4. Then, multiply the first row with 5. Next, subtract the first row from the second row and restore it. Multiply first row by 3. Then subtract the first row from the third row and subtract the first row from the fourth row and restore it. Make the pivot in the second column by dividing the second row by 1 over 4. Next, multiply the second row by 3 over 4. Subtract the second row from the first row and restore it. Then multiply the second row by 11 over 4 and subtract the second row from the third row. Subtract the second row from the fourth row and restore it. Find the pivot in the third column, inversing the sign in the whole row, and swap the fourth and the third row. Subtract the third row from the second row, then multiply third row by -2. Subtract the third row from the fourth row and restore it. Make the pivot in the fourth column by dividing the fourth row by -9. Then multiply the fourth row by 3. Subtract the fourth row from the first row and restore it. Next, multiply the fourth row by 7 and subtract the fourth row from the second row and restore it. There is the inverse matrix on the right. Now, multiply P matrix with K3 inverse matrix and get a new matrix. Now, we can decrypt the message from the new matrix. And the message is as per shortnya agro.
We found the message. Good job everyone.